my name's Luna. I wanted to talk to you about why we should invest more in forensics, and specifically in forensic anthropology. So, in today's little scenario, it is you have had a family member go missing, and it's actually a long time has gone past. So it's been, I don't know, a year, 2 years, and all of a sudden they found bones. Well, if they didn't have a forensic anthropologist on the case, then it's very likely it will take a very long time for you to know if this person was your family member or not. So why am I interested in this? As I've said before, I am a triple major, and criminal justice and biological anthropology is what I'm planning to go in. And I am very passionate about forensic anthropology in general, and it is the career I want to go into. So forensics in general, this kind of forensics with anthropology is very important during things like criminal investigations, working with law enforcement, making cases go quicker when it talks about someone who is who's died and there's bones and we don't know who they are. So to start off, raise your hand if you have ever seen one of these like cases where in like a TV show where a person is identified solely by the bones. So like there's like a skeleton and I don't know, you're watching CSI or Bones and they only use the skeleton and they figure out who it is. Well, in most cases in real life, this isn't as common, not because it's not possible, but because a lot of these major agencies don't have enough, or in some cases any, forensic anthropologists to work with them, which is really bad because cases are a lot slower. There's really not much you can do because you can't do it. You need specialists in the field to be able to complete these tasks. So in the case of not having forensic anthropologists, this case will take much longer with the investigation. You won't have the specific people to tell you how this person may have died if it isn't obvious. Or, you know, it'll take a lot longer for these families to even know what has happened to this person. Is this who I think this is? So what can we do? So I think that we should invest more into forensic anthropologies, specifically because it will help a ton of people learn more, like, quicker about their family. This is something that has happened already in South America. There is a whole program specifically for forensic anthropologists working on cases like this, where it's specifically that. We don't have that here in the United States. We have Forensic Association, but we don't have something specific like this. So having something like that, and then just in general having forensic anthropologists and more forensics availability in all over will help cases become easier to solve and faster, and give information more to these more information to these families quicker, which is going to be would be incredible for them. They're not going to be left wondering, oh my God, is this person really, I don't know, my family member, or is it somebody else's? Who is this person? So what we should do is focus more on expanding people's understanding of forensics as well. Forensics is a very broad topic, but it's not very taught. So usually with forensic anthropology in general, it's not really thought about. It's one of the not so well-known ones. Anyway, so what should we do? Because we've talked about what's going on, we've talked about how this can cause problems. What do we do? Well, there should be more education, especially for kids being like high schoolers for the most part, which we have some. There are some places where they can go to learn, but it should be a more accessible thing so people can learn, and we can finally fill this field up with people so that it's not such a niche thing, and we can actually expand so that it's more all over the United States. With that, we should also make sure that this is more of a well-known thing. So forensic anthropology is not really in the public eye very often, as it is also usually confused with things like forensic pathology, or in some cases even archaeology. And if the person doesn't know what forensics is, which, let's be honest, quite a few people don't, they might confuse it with things like cultural anthropology, which is probably the most well-known form of anthropology. Anyway, with all this all these pieces of information and ideas, it would be really, really good if we would be able to finally make it a lot simpler and easier for these families, and also these in general, these criminal investigations, to go quicker so that and more effectively, which will happen as long as we have enough forensic anthropologists to work on these cases. Yes, so today we have talked about the reasons why I think that we should invest more into forensic anthropology, as just forensics in general, to be honest. I explained the ways that this has affected and will continue to affect and a lot in the forensics in general, as well as people, because you want to know what's happening. You don't want to be left in the dark about your family. That's just not something you want. Anyway, yes, so that's what we've talked about today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned and really, really think about what I have said. Yes, thank you so much for listening.